Did I tell you that this class is gonna fix rid of the white stuff and then cut it down so you see more than this of it? That'll be nice. Now we're done. Since the 1950s, how have advancements in technology changed our understanding of the universe and life on Earth? Yes. Yeah. Particularly what we're talking about is the design of life and what was once thought to be a simple single-celled amoeba is now seen to be so what else?
That we're able to see like how we can see that.
Yeah, so they have enabled us to see the intricate details of life through the advancements. What did they say was the anthropic principle of biology? It's the design of life. Just as we see design in the universe, we see design in living things. Yes.
Doesn't it also have to do with like the revolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which is different than microevolution. We'll talk about that. So I wrote down what the book quoted here, but how complex is a one-cell cell amoeba? What is the book called? Yeah. That's true. That's absolutely true. But the book says it is astonishingly. Astonishing. Then what is the supreme problem for Darwinists to explain? The origin of the first life. Now you can, we'll talk a lot about macroevolution, but the problem isn't so much evolution. It's like, how did something come to be evolved, right? Now, just spoiler alert, I don't believe macroevolution. But what the book is going to tell you is that macroevolution can account for the survival of a species, but it can't account for the arrival of the species. If there is such a thing, again, I don't believe in macroevolution, but let's, for the sake of argument, if there is such a thing as macroevolution, you have to have a first life to evolve. So until you can account for that first living thing, you can't move on. Kind of like math is built on, so there's a reason you start with your numbers. Because if you don't know your numbers, there's no way you're doing that. You can't add, there's no way you're doing that. And so you have to start at that ground level. So it is, the supreme problem is explaining the origin of it. They can't do that in a way that is provable. They posit ideas, but it's nothing that's What two scientists discovered the DNA and how significant was their discovery? So first of all, who discovered DNA? No. Yes. James Watson and Francis Crick. And then Ayla, the second part of that. How significant was their discovery?
Well, it was extremely significant because they found out how to look for like just one drop of blood or just the tiniest amount of DNA on it replicated using one cell.
Absolutely. And it not only unlocks the complexity of life, but there's a specific message in each life form. I don't want to go into details, but something, a conversation my sisters and I had when we were together made us want to possibly take a DNA test. Is it not crazy that you can give someone a drop of blood and you can find out not only all these things about you, but about who you're connected to? It's incredibly complex, and each person has their own special message. No one else's message in their DNA is exactly like yours. Now, the people to whom you are blood related will have similar stories, which I think is just beautiful. And I think that speaks to the uniqueness of our Creator and how He loves diversity. We see that everywhere. We see diversity everywhere. Yes. What?
Have you seen a rainbow? I'm pretty sure
Uh, uh, yeah, it has a specific meaning for each life form. If we can't directly observe the past, then what scientific principles can we use to help us discover what caused the first? Nobody observed, no human being observed the first life. And of course, science is built on observation, but no one did. Because you had to have that before you can have humans to observe. So, what can we use? What principles can we use to determine? I'm sorry, what? Yeah. Okay, so that's a specific one, but what are all those principles called? They're called forensic principles. Forensic principles. Another word for that would be evidence. That is how that is what our justice system is built on, forensic principles. Even if you weren't there, even if you didn't see it, the clues can tell you what happened. I don't know if any of you ever watched any of the crime shows. And they look at, that's what forensics is, right? They look at those clues for, they can tell how, if someone shot a gun, so they can tell the height at which it was delivered. They can tell all different kinds of things, all kinds of ballistics from the door itself, fingerprints, all of that is evidence. And we determine court cases beyond a reasonable doubt from this kind of evidence. So do you think that evidence is reliable? It's reliable enough to get convictions or to get acquittals for cases. Now, let's go to the principle of uniformity. Natalie, tell me about the principle of uniformity. What does it say?
I said that both causes in the past.
That's okay.
Both causes in the past were like causes we observe today.
Well, let's just say that. Let's put it this way. Causes in the past are the same as causes today, or causes in the present. So, in the past, if you shut the door on your finger, you're going to have a swollen finger. That's still true today, right? So, causes in the past are the same as causes. That's the next question, is causes in the past are the same as causes we observe. Number 7. When applying the principle of uniformity to Mount Rushmore, or even the simplest form of life, what conclusions can be drawn?
Only intelligent Mount Rushmore or anything.
And why is that?
Because you don't just look at a watch and oh, well that, the wind just so happened to just make that stumble together and a watch maker did it.
True, but I want to go back and want to say specifically, how do we know Mount Rushmore is, beside the fact that it's a matter of historical record, okay, but if you were seeing it for the first time, knew nothing about it, you wouldn't say, oh wow, that must have been a crazy storm that did that, right? Why not?
But
That's
also just because the coincidence is just so incomprehensible.
no, you're dancing around it, but you're exactly right. We've never seen natural causes create the faces of poor presidents, right? We've never seen that ever in all of now. It might look like sort of something, like when you have, chimney rock, sort of looks like a chimney, but it doesn't look like a bunch of bricks in a perfect order, it doesn't look like that. We've never observed natural causes. Yes.
Well, it's that's can't just pinpoint that one. I mean, God could if you really, really wanted to. But in this case, they don't really out there and be like, yeah, just hurricane, South Dakota, made that.
Yeah, and remember that nature tends to devolve. Nature natural forces don't tend to put things together. We talked about that with an accident, right? You don't have an explosion in a car factory and out comes a DeLorean, right? You don't have a tornado come through. And you can see a tornado come through and something crazy will happen. Like I've heard of a piece of straw going into, a trunk of a tree or something. But it can't. I've been in a tornado. 1980, and my parents lived in Fontenelle Hills. Anybody familiar with Fontenelle Hills? It's the only house like it. It's on Martin Drive, and there are beams on the house where you would think the roof would be, so that the window for my sister's bedroom gets light. And so there was this little tornado, F1 tornado, that picked up the roof of our neighbor's back porch and deposited on my sister's bedroom and blew a big hole in it. And the sirens did go off. And my sister, my little sister, who was 9-ish, she would have been right, had just turned 9. And I got her and her friend downstairs, put them in the bathtub of the bathroom, and went back upstairs to find my mom, and I'm yelling for my mom, and she's not talking, and I'm scared, and then finally she speaks up. She says, "I'm getting the dogs!" And but there was this huge, I can't even describe it to you, and I knew something was wrong. And so we stayed downstairs for a little while, and the sirens went off. My mom and I went up, and our dining room was basically demolished. It was all caved in, and there was water running through the chandelier, through the ceiling. And I thought, well, it's a 2-story house, so there's got to be something upstairs. So I went upstairs, and my sister's door, frame and all, was standing up against the wall on the other side of the hallway, and the room was just demolished. Now she was, I think she might have been in that. That's what nature does. Nature doesn't order. It disorders. So natural causes have never seemed, they've seemed to just destroy something, destroy a house, but not build a house. Right? That takes intelligence. And that's an important part of this. So number 7. Yeah, we just did that one. What did I say? An intelligent designer created Mount Rushmore because no natural cause has ever been observed to create anything like it. The same is true for the simplest life form. No natural cause has ever been seen to create a natural life form. And I'm telling you right now, as we speak, and for decades, a lot of scientists all over this world have worked to create a life form. And there's a whole lot of intelligence going into trying to create a life form. And if they ever do it, I don't believe they will, but if they ever do, it won't prove evolution. What will it prove? That it takes a whole lot of intelligence to create a life form. Because it isn't going to be an accident. It happens. So, number 8. If Dawkins and Crick admittedly recognize the design of life, why don't they admit an intelligent designer? Every design has a designer. But they're saying this has a design, but it doesn't have a designer, even though that goes against science. Yeah.
Because they're like pre-established beliefs.
That they've decided in advance that there can't be an intelligent designer. So it must be an accident. There's no other option. Not because that's where the evidence leads, but because there can't be a designer. So they have preordained that a designer is not an option. Their preconceived idea of naturalism prevents even the consideration of intelligent design. They're ruling out the right answer. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you that if you did not, I didn't collect your books this time. If you did not read the book and you just wrote down the answers as we talked about them, and you need to read the book. I'll tell you this again. If you do not read this book, you will not be able to succeed. So if you didn't read it, get it read, start at the beginning, and then you're going to read for today. You're going to start at page 119 where you left off yesterday at the bottom there, good science versus bad science. And then you're going to read from there to 124. You're going to stop where it says give time and chance a chance. And then you're gonna answer questions, equip 9 through 13. So I'm gonna write that on the board. If you don't finish it, it's homework, but you do have some time. And then I need to get something for you. I think I printed out yesterday. I hope I printed out yesterday. First, I'll write on the board what you're doing.